Hello again, 'tis I, Nick Hennegan. How you doing? Thank you for joining me once more, and thank you, by the way. We actually got to followers. Is it subscribers? 30. Way! We only had 2 when I started this, so thank you very much. And apparently, if you the barber's open next week as well. Apparently, if you want to know when I post another one of these, if you press the little bell below as well, it sends you some sort of indication. And I'm told that's a good thing to do. Okay? Now you know. This is a stream of consciousness diary that I wrote in 1992 due to popular demand, as we say. I won't go into the whole reason now. If you want to know why I did it, go back to episode 1. And I'm going to try and keep these a bit shorter as well. I hope you're having a good time, because as I say, summer of 2020 has been like no other summer any of us can remember, really. And the summer of 1997 was fairly unique for me and for the Maverick Theatre Company, which is why, why I'm doing these. I've still got my old friend with me as well, so just... I blame Birmingham. Yeah, if I hadn't started pub theatre in Birmingham, I'd never have needed to be in a pub every night. The Beelsley pub, I went back there a little while ago, but perhaps that's another time, another story for another time. Let's go back now to 1997, Thursday the 28th of August. T-minus 11 days. I'm proving how mobile computing can be by sitting in the Rover, yes, it started, typing this in Greenhill Road in Moseley, while Glenn Bays, Steve and Ben, 2 of the Stage 2 youth group lads, stuff leaflets through people's doors. It was Glenn's idea, and I hope it works. Steve is the 16-year-old who looks 23, already featured in this noble tome. Ben is about the same age, and I think I've seen him before. Then it comes to me. He played Caliban in 12th Night about 4 years ago. A memorable performance indeed. I still feel a bit under the cosh with so much to do before the opening night of A Ghost of a Chance. The first week of rehearsals went quite well, but we're still at the stage where scripts are starting to go down and there's very little real acting. Having said that, even at this early stage, poor Henry starts really flying on occasions, and Justin constantly amazes me with his discipline and talent. I was in for most of the rehearsals last week for script changes and editing. There have been very few, considering it's a play that's never been done before. Some quite big cuts on Tuesday were reinstated on Wednesday. I'm not at all precious about my work, loves, but I have heard some horror stories about writers being in on rehearsals. I think I'm being a well-behaved writer, but as I've never done it before, I have nothing to measure up to. Mind you, it's easy to be well-behaved working with a director like John Adams. The first day's rehearsal last Tuesday was, as John Adams pointed out at the time, a little like the first day at school. We were all there, Rob Williams, the composer and sound designer, John Slater, John Adams, Justin and Paul, Glenn and me, in the round room of the Beelsley. I had bought some tasteful gifts from Ireland for my new creative team. Oh yes, a plastic keyring each for John and Paul with their family crests embroidered on them. As I couldn't find a Towler family keyring, I bought Justin Towler a very tasteful green notebook and pencil plastered with leprechauns. Like I say, tasteful and sophisticated. These exquisite gifts from a caring producer/writer broke the ice. It was a hot, muggy day. It boded well for the production that there was little sign of nerves from anybody. Obviously John and Paul knew each other well from previous jobs at Birmingham Repertory Theatre and other places. And I think the read-through we did with Paul and Justin at the Mac proved to be a good idea. And Justin had met Glenn before. I decided before rehearsals that I would put my artistic trust completely in John Adams' hands. Glenn is on board to relieve some of my producer pressures, so I throw my producer hat off and try to be just a writer. It's actually quite a nice feeling. So we all quite quickly settle into a routine. We had our first read through of the whole script, and then after lunch started editing and tightening the script. Rob did a bit of shooting with our new video camera. Justin behaved impeccably. Towards the end of the afternoon, he knocked over his glass of water, thoughtfully provided by Glenn. He looked a bit guilt-ridden and embarrassed, and we made light of it. But during one of Paul's big first act speeches, Justin started doing a bit of a mime to me across the table, using his tasteful Irish pencil as a drumstick. I started with a pen, and for no particular reason it became very funny. Perhaps it was the heat of the afternoon, or fatigue, or just the release of tension, but we started to giggle. I put on my serious grown-up writer face, but it was no use. Every time I looked at Justin, I started to laugh. Every time he looked at me, he started laughing. You know the situation. We were both trying to stifle our laughter, which only made things worse. Eventually, John Adams noticed the shaking shoulders and mirth-contorted faces and realised something was going on. He asked what the joke was. As soon as he spoke, Justin and I burst out laughing, and I tried to explain that we were, well, drumming with pens. Yes, wow. John didn't find it particularly amusing either, but he humoured us. I felt a bit like a naughty schoolboy. Justin's got an excuse. He is a schoolboy. But we were well behaved after that. We finished for the day, and Justin played with a video camera for a bit while I talked to Anthea, his mom. Paul Henry looked a little worried. I can't learn your bloody lines, Nick. This worries me a bit. I seem to remember reading somewhere that well-written lines were easy to learn. But maybe I didn't read that. Maybe I just made that up. Just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean people are not watching me. Most of the first week is taken up with blocking. The director tells the actors where to move and what to do, and some fundamental character work. I have to miss the Wednesday rehearsal as we need to shoot the film sequences for when Luke, the monster, takes Bob back to his roots. We arranged to meet Gareth Williams and his dad at Sutton Park, that all-purpose location. We hire a top-quality Betacam SP camera, and Andy Bloom will direct. The Sutton Park footage will then be edited with the footage I shot in Ireland, and hey presto, Gareth will be an Irish boy. Well, that's the theory anyway. Gareth is playing Bob's father as a small boy, and I was to play Gareth's father, Bob's granddad. You keeping up? But when we talk it through with Paul, we soon realise that Glenn will look too young to be Bob's father in the English sequence, so Glenn and I swap roles. Got that? Good. If you've never seen the play, this will make very little sense, but it serves you right for being too tight to part with a £5 for a ticket. If you tried to get in but couldn't because we sold out, I apologise. Notice the blind optimism. Because we sold out. We'll see. The shooting goes very well, and once again I'm bowled over by how good kids can be. Gareth is a charmer, an all boy if you know what I mean. He's done quite a lot of theatre and TV work, as Justin has, and has that same discipline when the camera is running or he's taking direction from Andy. But once the scene's finished, he's back doing kid things. As Gareth is changing into his urchin shorts, I notice his scalp seems a little, well, blue. I look again. Yes, I can definitely see a blue colour on his head. I lean over to Gareth. Gareth, I say as casually as I can, I think you've got a bit of something blue in your hair. Oh, yes, chirps Gareth. Yeah, I did it yesterday. Blue dye. And I covered my hair in green and gold glitter as well. Upon which he smiles at me and bounds off after the camera crew. Well, of course, stupid me. Blue dye and green hair and gold glitter, I should have guessed. I meet Gareth's dad. I didn't have one of these in 1997. I meet Gareth's dad, who is acting as Gareth's chaperone. He's mad, is Gareth's dad. Not personally, of course, but he's a fireman, and all firemen are mad. I learnt this fact when, at the age of 17, as a police cadet on attachments in Birmingham. When faced with a burning building, throwing flame, heat, scalding debris and poisonous gases at you, the last thing you do is go near to it. It can be very spiteful. It wants to hurt you, does a burning building. You would not invite one to dinner or to meet your parents. Oh no. You keep yourself and other people as far away from burning buildings as possible. As a police officer, you keep everyone away and wait for the mad people to come. They always do come to burning buildings, and then they run at it like the mad things they are, spitting water from under a bit of canvas tube. Gareth's dad is one of these mad people. He's even madder because after a night shift at the Mad People station, he's driving Gareth from Sutton Park up to the Lake District for the remainder of Gareth's scout camp. Mr. Gareth also runs a cub pack, and although some other people who run cub packs might think he's mad to do it, it is obviously a very sane thing to do, compared to spitting at burning buildings for a living. I doubt Mr. Gareth ever has hairy arm moments. I look for signs of potential madness in his young son, but see none. Although Mr. Gareth does have to insist that Gareth comes out of Sutton Park Lake at the end of the shoot. Gareth wants to carry on paddling. If I were Mr. Gareth, I'd be quite relieved. It's much more sane to run at large lakes than burning buildings, but each to their own. It turns out Mr. Gareth also knows Paul Higgins, a mate of mine, who was quite mad before he joined the fire service. I rest my case, my lad. But always buy a fireman a drink. Their madness is kindness itself. Watching Gareth play with an orange he found floating in the water, I'm also struck by something Anthea Towler mentioned to me at the Midlands Arts Centre and one or two other comments people have made whenever I've mentioned working with kids. What's a kid? A kid's a baby goat, that's what. Oh, we've done that one, haven't we? Anthea was saying how there seems to be a strange public perception about showbiz kids. And I know what she means, because I've picked up on it a bit since I started looking for boys for A Ghost of a Chance. Justin and Gareth have done a lot of theatre and TV, and they attend a youth drama school once or twice a week. If they were good at athletics or football or any other activity, nobody would take any notice. But because it's showbiz, there seems to be this misconception that they never do any schoolwork or they're somehow missing out on part of their childhood. There seems to be an idea that all child performers are spoilt, overindulged brats. My experience of the hundreds of kids I've seen for this show proves that is absolute rubbish. Apart from anything else, a complete brat would not last 5 minutes in a demanding theatrical environment. Apart from acting, Gareth is into football, fishing and scouts, and Justin goes wall climbing, swimming and rollerblading. Every time I phoned Anthea to talk about the show after school hours and I asked after Justin, the usual reply was that he was out on his bike with his mates, probably down by the stream, getting covered in mud. You know, kiddie things. Justin is thankfully also into computers. I'm taking this notebook into rehearsal later this week so we can sort out my sound card. I didn't know I had one till Justin told me. Back at Sutton Park, we have a bit of trouble with the light because it's really hot and muggy, but a bit overcast. We need it to look like an idyllic summer. Andy adjusts something in the camera and, hey presto, summer it is. I don't really need to be at the shoot because Andy and me have scouted the locations and talked about the shots and the spirit of the final film. But I fuss about a bit and check the occasional shot through the viewfinder, even though I completely trust and respect Andy's visual talent. And unlike him, not only do I not really know one end of a camera from the other, but I don't have half his talent when it comes to creating a shot. Andy patiently tolerates me. I worry a bit about Gareth's feet, as we're asking him to run down a fairly rough tack without shoes. Andy gives me a patient stare. He grew up with a little brother, did Andy Bloom, and he's far more kid-wise than I am. He's also joined in with the rest of the Kidwise production team, who are chorusing at regular intervals, "You worry too much!" Andy sniffs and shakes his head. "Gareth will be fine. His feet will be okay. You worry too much." I retreat and watch the shot. Gareth is fine. His feet are okay. I start to think that maybe I worry too much. We finish the shoot, Gareth goes, we drink a pint of cold cider and we sweat our way home.